In a prestigious university, where the bright minds of tomorrow are supposed to be nurtured, one student's life was forever changed by an act of humiliation. A college professor, known for his academic prowess, had just crossed a line. His target? A black PhD candidate from Harvard, a young man who had everything to prove. It wasn't just a simple academic disagreement. No, this was something far darker, far more sinister. This was no ordinary moment in a classroom. It was an act that would send shockwaves through the academic world, challenging the very essence of justice and equality in institutions meant to empower the next generation. The tension in the room was palpable. The class had gathered around, expecting a normal discussion. But what happened next left everyone in disbelief. Dr. Charles Morrison, the revered professor, stood at the front of the room, his eyes fixed on the young man, Marcus Thomas. Marcus had been quiet for most of the semester, diligently working on his dissertation, a critical research project that had garnered attention from faculty across the country. He was just months away from completing his PhD, and his hard work had earned him respect from many, even in such a competitive, cutthroat environment. But that day, things went horribly wrong. "Marcus," Dr. Morrison began, his voice dripping with sarcasm, "would you care to explain to the class why your argument is so off? You've spent years at Harvard, and yet, this is what you come up with." The room went silent. All eyes turned to Marcus. But instead of backing down, Marcus stood his ground. He was no stranger to racism. He'd dealt with it throughout his academic journey. He knew how to handle the microaggressions, the sideways comments. But this was different. This wasn't just an attack on his work. It was an attack on his very character. Marcus tried to explain himself, but every word was met with more mockery from Dr. Morrison. The insults became sharper, more personal, cutting deeper than any academic critique ever should. Dr. Morrison, a well-known figure in academia, mocked Marcus's upbringing, his intelligence, and even his race. It wasn't just a disagreement over research, it was an orchestrated campaign to humiliate. The students sat there, frozen. Some were too afraid to speak out, others unsure of what was happening. But Marcus stood tall. He'd faced much worse before. He could handle this. Or so he thought. Shocking inconsistencies asterisk. As the confrontation continued, something didn't add up. Dr. Morrison's attack didn't seem to be based on Marcus's research at all. Sure, he critiqued the dissertation, but the way he made it personal was telling. Marcus had spent months working with faculty advisors, fine-tuning his argument. His paper had even received glowing feedback from some of the most respected professors at Harvard. Yet, here was Dr. Morrison, ignoring all of that, focused not on the content of the research, but on attacking Marcus's personal life. It was as if Dr. Morrison was looking for any excuse to destroy Marcus. But Marcus couldn't figure it out. The inconsistencies piled up. Why was Dr. Morrison ignoring the praise from other professors? Why was this personal vendetta playing out in front of an entire class? Was it just racism? Or was there something more at play? Just when it seemed like the moment couldn't get worse, Marcus received a message, hidden in the chaos of the confrontation. A text from one of his closest friends, who was also a faculty member. "Marcus, don't go to his office hours. I just overheard something. He's been talking about you, in a way that's not about your research. It's about your race. Be careful." The message hit Marcus like a freight train. Suddenly, it wasn't just about a professor trying to tear down a student's work. It was about a professor with a history of crossing lines, and not just with Marcus. What Marcus didn't know was that Dr. Morrison had been under investigation for months. There were whispers of past indiscretions, of discriminatory actions, of students who had been silenced. But nothing had been proven, yet. Was this a setup? Was Dr. Morrison deliberately trying to sabotage Marcus before he could reach the finish line? Or was he simply a product of the system, operating unchecked for far too long? Marcus knew he had to do something. He couldn't let this man win. He had worked too hard, fought too many battles, to let this racist professor define his future. But what could he do? The power imbalance was enormous. Dr. Morrison had tenure, a network of influential colleagues, and a reputation that would make it difficult for anyone to challenge him. Marcus didn't realize it yet, but this moment, this confrontation, would set off a chain of events that would unravel everything he thought he knew about the academic world. As Marcus walked out of the classroom, the weight of the encounter pressing heavily on his shoulders, he realized that this was just the beginning. The more he dug into Dr. Morrison's past, the more he uncovered about the professor's dark history. A history of manipulation, power, and a trail of students left broken in his wake. But Marcus wasn't going to let Dr. Morrison's career go unchecked. He knew the fight for justice wasn't just about him. It was about every student who had been hurt by Dr. Morrison's abuse of power. The twist? Dr. Morrison had something to hide, something even bigger than anyone could have imagined. Will Marcus be able to take down a powerful professor who has been hiding in plain sight? Or will this become another unsolved case of academic corruption, buried under layers of lies? The dark truth behind Dr. Morrison's power. Marcus's mind raced as he walked across the campus, each step echoing with the weight of the message he had just received. He couldn't shake the feeling that everything about the confrontation with Dr. Morrison was planned, calculated, and designed to break him. But what had he done to deserve this? The truth was, Marcus wasn't just dealing with a single racist professor. He was up against a system that had protected him for years, shielding him from accountability. As Marcus delved deeper into Dr. Morrison's past, he uncovered a disturbing pattern. It wasn't just one student, it was several. Dr. Morrison had targeted students who were different, students who didn't fit his narrow view of success. And Marcus, a black PhD candidate from Harvard, had become the latest victim. Marcus couldn't do this alone. He confided in a small group of professors who had shown him nothing but support throughout his time at the university. They were shocked by the allegations, but they also knew how hard it would be to bring Dr. Morrison to justice. This wasn't just about a student standing up against a professor, it was about an entire system that was complicit in Dr. Morrison's behavior. They needed evidence. Concrete proof that Dr. Morrison had been abusing his power for years. So Marcus, with the help of his friends, began digging into the professor's past. What they uncovered was chilling. Dr. Morrison had been under investigation multiple times for discriminatory practices, but each time, the cases were mysteriously dropped. There was always a lack of evidence, always some technicality that allowed him to slip through the cracks. His tenure, his influence in the academic world, had allowed him to silence anyone who dared speak out against him. But now, Marcus had something Dr. Morrison couldn't deny. An entire class had witnessed the professor's racist behavior. And while the academic community might have turned a blind eye before, things were different now. Social media was a powerful tool, and Marcus wasn't going to let this go unnoticed. Just when Marcus thought things couldn't get worse, an unexpected ally came forward. A former student of Dr. Morrison's, Jennifer Thompson, reached out to him after hearing about the confrontation. Jennifer had been a victim of Dr. Morrison's manipulative tactics years ago. She'd been too afraid to speak out, but now, seeing Marcus take a stand, she felt empowered to tell her story. Jennifer's experience was nearly identical to Marcus's. She was a top student, thriving in Dr. Morrison's class, until one day, when the professor humiliated her in front of her peers. She had received top marks on her research, but Dr. Morrison targeted her simply because she was a black woman in a predominantly white field. The fallout was devastating. Jennifer was forced to leave the program, her academic dreams shattered. And like Marcus, she had no one who believed her. No one who would stand up for her. As Marcus and Jennifer continued to gather evidence, they uncovered a horrifying truth. Dr. Morrison had a network of allies who had helped him maintain his power. It wasn't just about race. It was about control. The professor had been involved in a series of unethical academic practices, including manipulating grant funding, sabotaging the careers of rival professors, and even tampering with student records. The deeper Marcus dug, the more tangled the web became. But the most shocking revelation came when Marcus uncovered a confidential report hidden deep in the university's archives. It detailed a past incident involving a student who had accused Dr. Morrison of sexual harassment. The case had been quietly settled, but the university had done everything in its power to bury it. The same university that now protected Dr. Morrison had been complicit in his actions for years. The twist? Dr. Morrison wasn't just a professor. He was a powerful figure who had been using his influence to protect his own dark secrets. And Marcus had unknowingly walked into a trap, one that had been set for years. The time had come to expose Dr. Morrison. Marcus, with the help of Jennifer and his supportive professors, compiled everything: the testimonies, the hidden reports, the social media posts from other students who had been victimized. They had enough to bring the professor down. But when they went to the university administration, they hit a wall. The dean, the board of trustees, everyone was either complicit or too afraid to speak out. Dr. Morrison had connections that reached far beyond the classroom. He had the power to destroy anyone who challenged him. Marcus and Jennifer were alone, facing a system that seemed impossible to fight. In a final act of desperation, Marcus took to social media. The story went viral. The hashtag Justice for Marcus and hashtag Exposed Dr. Morrison trended across the country. Thousands of students rallied behind him, demanding accountability for Dr. Morrison's actions. The pressure was mounting, but just when it seemed like justice might prevail, Dr. Morrison made one final move. He filed a lawsuit accusing Marcus of defamation, claiming that the evidence was fabricated. The legal battle would drag on for years. The fight was far from over. As the dust settled, Marcus knew the battle had only just begun. He had won the first round, but Dr. Morrison wasn't going down without a fight. The truth had come to light, but it wasn't enough to change the system yet. Marcus had exposed the corruption, but now, the fight for justice would have to continue. Was this the end of Dr. Morrison's reign of terror? Or was this just another chapter in the ongoing struggle for justice within academia? Only time would tell. For Marcus, the journey was far from over. It wasn't just about getting his degree anymore. It was about something far more important: changing the system and ensuring that no other student would ever have to face the same horrors he had. But one thing was certain: the fight for justice was just beginning. And Marcus would be there, leading the charge, until the very end.